Here in the toolbox, Insights Analytics toolbox, we're going to go to the campaign, and we'll open up the campaign menu, and we'll go to the site performance from the navigation pane. And in site performance, you'll see that, as I said, there's these 30 metrics, these 30 critical factors that we compare. And these come from some very trusted resources. You'll recognize Majestic, Moz. You'll see that there's Google, and information from the site auditors, and so Twitter and Facebook, and the very critical SEO or metrics, performance metrics that we compare to. And we look at our client site. In this case, we're looking at AC by J, and we compare heads up with the competitors. That these are the competitors that you've added in, or that were added in from the site audit, where we've identified who are the organic competitors, who are the PPC competitors. So those have been added in through the competitor manager from the navigation window pane. And so you can pull those competitors into this site performance and compare heads up, head to head with the client to see where is the competition stronger. And so, for instance, here we see that Ace Home is leading of the three competitors here. They're leading it, and comparatively in external backlinks, they're leading very strong. And you can see that they've got the check mark there. And external backlinks from both recognized from Majestic and by Moz, they're leading. In citation flow, which is probably the most critical when you're thinking about links, citation flow and trust flow are the two main objectives of what we're after. And again, Ace Home is leading the pack. They're way out ahead of our client. So these are the areas where they're strong. In domain authority, again, they're strong. And here's where our clients coming in very strong. In the Moz rank and in Moz Trust, they're maybe not, they're not soaring above the competition, but they're a touch bit higher by Moz ranking and Moz Trust. If we go through here, then we can look at load time. There's not a whole lot of difference between these two in load time. Diamond Plumbing isn't even registering on load time, so we know we're ahead of on page speed, where our client is clearly out ahead in page speed, so that's all good. And we can look here at the how prepared are they. Do they have redirects? Clearly beating out Diamondback Plumbing here, and they're not fully crawlable. They do have a disallow. Ace has disallows, and that's not necessarily a horrible thing, but there is an issue that we need to be aware of and take a look at. What is that disallow rule? Is it hurting us? And there's no malware on any of the sites. They're all, again, very close in registration, which is not a horribly strong factor, but it is something that we want to look at. And then we move into the social metrics, and we find Diamond is not doing anything in social. So clearly that gives us, our client, a competitive advantage ahead of Diamondback. If our client starts advertising strongly, dominating in these social markets, they can take any prospects. They can take market share away in social. However, Ace Home has a strong presence, or has a presence in the same. But we see that none of them have a LinkedIn. None of them are on Pinterest. So with some innovation, then, that creativity that we spoke about in the presentation, is there an innovative way to use Pinterest or LinkedIn methods, advertising methods, to reach a market that clearly the competition is not in. Maybe there is no market there. And again, we have to be intelligent enough to be aware of that. What is the purpose of LinkedIn? Are there LinkedIn groups for HVAC? Are there LinkedIn groups for DIYers on LinkedIn? Clearly, there's probably some Pinterest for DIY, where there may be some advertising opportunities. LinkedIn may be a little bit impossible. And when we look at tweets, and again, nobody has any active links from their tweets. So though they do have accounts here, they're not posting active links, inbound links from their tweets. So there's an opportunity where they could probably take some market share away. Facebook likes, it looks like Ace Home is providing a lot more link and getting a lot more like from the things that they're putting in their Facebook profiles, and they're also getting more shares through Facebook. They're getting more comments from Facebook. They're utilizing the like button and getting more clicks on the like buttons. So here's some opportunities then where we could become more competitive and possibly start taking more of a dominant role. We're seeing where the competition is strongest and where we need to become stronger in the social. And same thing with plus ones. And these are clicks on the plus one, not necessarily activity on their plus one Google Plus account, but that they're actually getting more pluses clicked than we are. And then the clout score. And so you use this competitor heads-up site performance to just that way to find out what could this client be doing better. And clearly, overwhelmingly, and I think you'll find in most cases, the whole backlink opportunity is getting overlooked. It's getting undervalued. And if you forget what the insights are for any of these, or if you need to drill down a little bit further, there's an information button here that if you click on that information, you get a tremendous amount of information of like what is this majestic backlink score, the scope of it, how the client could improve the relationship, how they could manage their backlinks, gives you some good light. And then for more information about Link Manager, about backlinks, about how to put together a backlink strategy, there's some clickable links here for you to get more information. And that's for all 30 of these metrics. You just click on that information cube and you'll get that resource of information, a plethora of information to help you. The other critical part of the site performance, as I mentioned in the first part one, was that over time you can see how we continue to compete. So if we leave the competition as it is, or if you wanted to change the competition, I guess I could show you that first. Let's say we want to put A+ here. So we can click A+, and within a matter of 30, 40 seconds or so, all of the data will propagate in. And you can then compare how the competition pulls in for each one of the that you identified in the analysis. So the other part that you want to look at is the calendar here. If we're looking at current, which is August 27th, and let's say we want to go back to the first of the month. Maybe this is sales made the SEO backlink improvement sale on the 3rd. We started implementing changes to backlinks, and so we click on the 3rd, and now we can see how we've changed over time. Compared to the 3rd, as of today, we've actually dropped 10% in the number of backlinks. We've improved in Moz backlinks by 234%. We've got a little bit better of a citation flow. We were 23, we're now 24. Trust flow has gone up from a 7 to a 10. So we can see clearly that the changes that we're making to the SEO package we've sold are having a fairly positive impact on the client. Now, if we want to drill down and make it a little bit so we could click on show me just the places where we're positive, and we could go through and it'll show just the metrics where we have a positive impact. And then if you want to look at just the places where we've slipped, you can click on the negative, and it'll show you we've only slipped in one place, and that's the actual number of backlinks. That's not really where we want to slip. So, and then we can look at all, and you can go back to any point in time that you've had the client in the system, and do the comparison to see how we're performing over time. And so that's the site performance heads up. So you can start doing the data analysis. As you notice, we've collected the data, and then we've started to analyze the data to start drawing some conclusions. And that's how we use the site performance. And the other part of the toolbox you want to look at is Competitor Manager. Now, there's not a lot you're going to do in Competitor Manager, because it's actually more of just a repository for the competitors that you've identified. And you'll see that the quality and the strength measures are there, and it does provide a one-click entry into performance. So let's go to the Competitor Manager. And as I said, here's that repository. You'll see that there's quality score here. You'll see the MOZ, and the rank and the authority. You'll see the number of pages that are indexed, and there's the number of pages that get crawled on a regular basis, in the inbound link. So it's a quick, handy way of looking at the information that's here, and it also provides you in the ability to drop it right quickly into the research competitor, or to add tags. But if we want to go to the research competitor, you can just take this particular client and let's go analyze it in more depth within there. So maybe we've identified in this case that Ace Home is that from the performance we've seen that Ace Home is truly showing us how to work online for this particular client. They're showing us that they know how to get more of the market share than our client does. So as we go over to the Competitor Manager, we can then take a look at Ace Home, and we can see that we've got our client has a little bit higher of a quality, and that we're falling behind in authority. We're a little bit behind in the number of pages that are crawled, but we are extremely behind in links. So that linkability becomes the key that we want to focus on. So we go to the next section then, which is the Research Central, and this is truly the most valuable tool in the Insights and Analytics data toolbox. The Research Central, it pulls data from 6 of the best internet resources, which are clearly identified there on Research Central. And there's 2 types of research that you're able to perform here. You can do keyword research to identify which keywords are performing the best, which keywords provide the most traffic, and who owns the traffic that's coming from those keywords. And you can also do domain research, so you can get a little bit deeper into how these domains are outperforming and doing better than the client. And then there's custom algorithms that are available. So we'll take a look in the toolbox at the Research Central. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to come directly from the Competitor Manager. I'm going to go to the pinwheel, and I'm going to say let's take this to the Research Central. So I'm going to click on Research. And you see it takes me automatically to the Research and Research Central, and it drops that competitor's domain in. So we're going to do an analysis on this competitor's domain. And so we get a thumbnail image of their homepage, and we can take a look at the site metrics here. And in the site metrics, we see how many linking root domains, the number of external followed links from root domains. We can look at total links, external backlinks. It provides you with a lot of fantastic information. For instance, the referring IPs. That means there's only 9 different IPs. So a lot of these links are coming from IPs, which an IP for a website, you give a certain IP, and you can share that IP amongst a variety of different domains. So you could have 50 domains using a single internet server and on a shared IP. So that tells, in the search engines, that tells them that the quality of these links may not be as high as they could be, because it's probably just sites that are owned by Ace Home. They've just created multiple domains and used those multiple domains in like a link wheel to interlink and cross-link to each other. So they're not going to get a very good juice passing. I mean, they're only getting a 12 out of 100 in juice passing, because see, the algorithms that are crawling the internet and the crawlers know to look for just that kind of a ratio of a whole lot of links from very few IPs, and there's a lot of referring IPs, but they're all coming from this very small pool, and so it doesn't provide you with a lot of link juice, but still it's a number of links. And then there's the edu, the type of links. .govs, .edus carry a lot more weight than .coms. .org is higher than a .com, a .net. .coms are about the same value, and so we see then that the citation flow, which is a measure of the quantity of links. In this case, it's not a very good 29 out of 100, so the quantity is not as good as in this particular industry. The trust flow is one that says how valuable are the sites that are linking back in. So the trust flow, again, is out of 100. It's a pretty low trust. And the domain authority and trust flow are almost the same. Very different metrics. One's Majestic is trust flow, and domain authority is from Moz. So different algorithms, but kind of the same ideas. So we dig in, we see that the distribution, we dig in just a little bit deeper, we go into the distribution. So a lot of the backlinks are coming from .com, very few from .orgs, very few from .net, even fewer from infos and biz and UKs and .us's and such. So we want to see a good distribution across different types of domains in order to be authoritative. I'm going to skip the next item. I'm going to skip quality. I'll come back to that. But let's look. You can do the keyword analysis. What are the keywords that Ace Home is currently realizing traffic from? You can look at the number of pages that they're getting backlinks from, that their keywords are going to. What is the page authority and the status? Okay, they've got good status. There's no errors on all of their key landing pages. They've got some pretty good page authority going to their home page. And as you drill deeper into the site, then the page authority goes down. That's to be expected because it carries less link juice. There's typically fewer websites linking to your interior pages than they are linking to your root domain, and that's unfortunate. And one of the key advantages that you can see here is that if we can set a link strategy in place, and we can set link strategy in place to drive links to key landing pages within the site, we could get a competitive advantage here. We can look at backlinks again and how diverse are they. Getting any image links, and do they get any no follows? And it takes a few minutes for it all to propagate in. And you can take a look at the crawled pages, again referring domains and domain URLs. We can look at the neighborhood, and the neighborhood is one that says within this particular industry, and given the links and the referring domains, and how does the neighborhood work out? And again, we see that we've got the same IP address for a lot of the, and there's a lot of the same subnet. Now the subnet is going to say that it's probably from the same server. So for instance, if you were hosting all your sites from DreamHost, and you had a DreamHost server and you bought, say, 5 IPs to run your sites from, some of those domains that you've created are going to be using the same IP. Some of them might be using different, but they're going to have the same subnet because it's from DreamHost. And so DreamHost is going to have a single subnet. And again, this is insights that tell you how valuable are all these referring domains. How valuable are all these backlinks? If it's off the same subnet, it's not going to carry a lot of link juice because it's telling the crawlers and the bots that this isn't from completely differently hosted. For instance, if I'm linking to somebody else's domain and rather than linking to my own domains, it carries a lot more weight to link to somebody else's domain. Carries a lot more link juice to carry to somebody else's domain than for linking to your own. So we can do more comparatives. We can see how we've done over time, and we've started doing these improvements to the site. So you can see that this competitor is doing some work to get more image links. So over time, you can see that they're putting together a pretty good effort to get more image links. And you can see the trend line here that's showing that also. And you can see they're getting a lot of no follows. They're starting to use no follow links. Their total links, a spike here, so they probably ran an advertisement maybe here, but their total links over time are relatively flat. Number of crawled pages, so they're getting recognized by the search engines. They're crawling more pages over time. Number of referring domains is again pretty flat, kind of moves around a little bit, but relatively flat. And so we can take a look again, see how many backlinks are getting. 16 different from Majestic, and how many IPs. There's 9 different IPs. Subnets, there's only 6 subnets. Number of followed links and no followed links. So what's the ratio here that we're looking for? And we see that there's a real competitive advantage to go after backlinks from domains that Ace Home is clearly not taking advantage of getting backlinks from a variety of websites. So there's a distinct competitive advantage that's coming to light as we drill in here, or drill down. And we can look at the design of the site as well, and this will give you a score based on the structure of the site. You know, how are they compared to, you know, we did a site crawl for our sites, but now this does a quick crawl of this competitor, and we see that they've got a score of about 75 out of 100. That's pretty good crawl. Where are they coming up short here? They've got some deprecated HTML, so they're using some outdated methodologies in their HTML coding. They're using inline styles. Inline doesn't work very well with tablets and smartphones, so they need to convert more to CSS models instead of inlines. And then they've got a real problem with outgoing links. They've got some broken outgoing links. So this is all good. Good information that we can say, okay, we have some clear competitive advantages if we start going after this backlink strategy and continue with our efforts in improving our site analyzer information. But I'm going to go back now. Let's go back to that quality aspect of the analyzer. What the quality analyzer does is it takes a look at these very key factors and we come up with a scoring of between 0 and 100. And in our quality analyzer, in this particular case, we scored right in the middle, a 50 out of 100. And we look down and we can see what are we looking at. We're weighting in the Moz Trust, the Moz Rank, the page authority. Where we looked at all these different scores as they stood, like the page authority was a 42, the domain authority is a 38, the creation date 2013, the expiration is 2016. We have an Alexa page score, we have a load time in milliseconds, and here in this quality we can give each of these a weight of value, so we can end up with an overall quality score. So for Ace Home, we're looking at a 50. The other kind of key part of this is that you can modify this algorithm to your own method of evaluating. So you click on the Add More, for instance, and now you can go in and you can add your own metrics to this. You can look at the authority and ranking metrics, you can look at just the social metrics, you can look at just site metrics, and create your own value. So let's create something that we want to just pay attention to links. So edu links, we'll add that, .gov links we'll add, Alexa rank, we're not worried about. Citation flow is all about links, so let's add the domain metric for citation. Authority is a measure of links. Number of indexed pages is not. Links to the website, that's links. Page authority is based on links. Trust flow is all about links. We'll add the domain. Moz rank, it's not completely about links. It also takes into consideration site structure, site taxonomy, and vertical. And the same with Moz Trust, takes in the vertical consideration and a lot of others. So we'll leave those off. And so we'll take those in. Then you'll see that now you can start adding the weighted value for each of these. So if you say, for instance, the .edu, maybe for your vertical, you're thinking this is a medium weighted factor. So you're going to say maybe it's a 6. So you can move this sliding scale here. The algorithm automatically compares .edu for the vertical for you, so it gives you a segmentation score. But if you don't want to use the default segment, you can change the segmentation score, and you'll see it changes here as you slide the bar. You can see that changes. And then you say that .gov, you figure that's probably good. But citation flow, maybe you're thinking citation flow is the most critical, so you might want to say that's an influence of an 8 factor. And domain authority, again, that's probably a 7 in our algorithm. Links to the website, we're going to say are the most important, so we'll give that a 9. And page authority, again, we'll say it's a 5. And trust flow, we'll say trust flow from Majestic is the critical factor. And you can see that according to the vertical, it's a pretty high segment factor also. And so then once you have all of those rankings, weighted values, then you can see that your updated score, we went from a 50, now we're looking at a 30 for this particular client, and then we can save this, and I would suggest you save it to yourself, user only, that means yours. You could also say you could save it to the profile, which means anybody that has access to this particular profile can use it, or you can make it global, so it's all the profiles. And that's why I think if you're creating this for yourself, just set it for the user only. Give it a name, so you might want to call it your link-worthy algo, and maybe you're going to say link values only algorithm. So you create that, and then you can click save, and then that'll become an option for you that you can use the quality analyzer, or you can switch to your link-worthy analyzer, and then it'll show you the 2 scores. So that gives you some flexibility in the way that you can do analyses and provide insights for your particular competitive performance analysis. Let's go back over to the presentation now and see where we're at. Yeah, that's looking pretty good. Okay, so on to part 3.